When I think of vision, I have in mind the ability to see above and beyond the majority. So even without sight, there is vision. Hello, my name is Naushin Shaikh, and welcome to my episode 3 of Bookmarks of Life with Naushin by Petrichor. That is Beyond the Vision. What to say about today's guest? He is an influential, yet a very simple man who has a vision that gives vision to many in the society. Please welcome Dr. Sam Taraporewala. Okay, welcome on the show, sir. Thank you so much for coming on this show, and I'm really glad that you are here today. Yes, so to introduce Mr. Sam Taraporewala, he's a retired associate professor and head of the Department of Sociology at Xavier's College, Mumbai, and the XRCVC, that is the Xavier's Resource Center for the Visually Challenged. It's his brainchild, basically. So those who don't know about XRCVC, that is the St. Xavier's Resource Center for the Visually Challenged, it's an integral part of the Department of St. Xavier's College, Mumbai. The XRCVC was started in 2003 as an effort to ensure an inclusive environment at St. Xavier's College for its students with blindness and low vision. And they work towards creating an enabling environment to facilitate the development of an inclusive society. So by providing, opportunities to the holistic growth for the visually challenged. So Dr. Sam wears the dual hat of being actively involved in XRCVC. He is an executive director there, and also he has an esteemed name in the field of disability. I heard him first time in his TED talk, which I will say was not just inspiring, but also was very thought-provoking. So I'm delighted to welcome you, sir, on my show, Bookmarks of Life, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me over, and wish the program all success.
Yes. Thank you, sir. So to start with, I want to ask you, how were you as a child? Can you please tell me something about your childhood?
Well, I grew up as I would think any other child, with the difference that I was born blind, and in my family, my elder brother also has been born blind. So there were two of us. But apart from that, one of the most important things that we imbibed as children from our parents and the extended family was, don't look at your blindness as an impediment, but accept it as normal and go ahead in life. And that's what we did. So it was a process of growing up with anybody else, having interactions with the sighted. We did not interact with other blind children because the idea that my parents had, and the prevailing wisdom was, well, send them to a school for the blind, was that, well, after that, what? Is there going to be a job only for the blind? They have to live in society. And so it was the most important decision to go to a school, which was a regular school. And I congratulate Mrs. Dungaji, who was running the school at that time. The school is Activity School. It's in Mumbai at Petrichor Road. And they took us in with open hands. They had no experience in catering to blind kids, but I can assure you they did a brilliant job.
Whenever I ask, about a person who has any kind of disability, people expect them to talk something very, unique or something very new or something very incredible that should come. But the thing is that every person has a normal childhood, and that's what it is about. I also want to ask you that when you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I won't remember all that I may have wanted to be, but some of the fancies that caught my mind was being an engineer.
Okay.
Or getting into some form of creative work in terms of physically creative. Like I always like to tinker with things. So since you asked me my childhood memories, I remember breaking my toys rather than playing with my toys to see what was inside.
Right. So there was creativity. It was there.
Yeah, I used to win many prizes in school for creativity.
Okay, right.
I like designing things. And some of the work we do at the center today is promoting STEM education, that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education, which opportunity, perhaps if I was available at that time, I would have. I didn't have it. No regrets, but I'm sure today's kids can take advantage of it.
Yes, definitely. When talking about XRCVC, I want to ask you about this, that, what led you to the idea of XRCVC? What was that turning point in your life?
Been teaching at St. Xavier's College, Mumbai, from 1988. And I did also mention that I never used to actively interact with blind children. My age, I did have in my college days, in terms of teaching, I did have students with disabilities. So I was aware of the fact that a dozen or so students with blindness and low vision in any given year. But there came a period around the turn of say 2000, 2001, where there was not a single student with blindness on our rolls. And this is in spite of the fact that as a college, we had an excellent support service. We had human readers and other things. And so it's more the research bug that got into me to find out, hey, what's going wrong? Why are they not coming? And I did my own explorations, and I found that a college in Mumbai had started a computer center for the blind. So I put the thought to the college management, and they said, sure, it's something we as a college would like to do, but the trouble is we need two things. One is the resources, and second is somebody who will take ownership and the full responsibility to organize and run it.
Yes.
With regards to financial resources, frankly, college is cash strapped. We have no expert funds. So are you willing to take the responsibility of finding resources and run the center? Thought that, okay, we'll have to find the resources. We'll set it up and then that's it.
Yes.
And at that time, I had no experience in project management in this sense, because I was more into teaching and research.
Yes.
So, well, I started as a novice. Even today, I would call myself a novice, but with God's grace, things did click. Our first proposal was approved by one of the Tata Social Trusts, and we got some funding. And after that, well, there has been no looking back with God's grace. And what I thought would be a short-term engagement turned out into something totally different, because one of the things that my principal, Father Fraser, and I give him full compliments for having reposed trust and allowed us to function and allowed us to grow and thrive. He told me that, look, I don't want this to be a talking cyber cafe.
Yes.
I would rather this be a resource center. That's how the name Xavier's Resource came. And from that time onwards, we've grown organically around express needs of our students and our members, and take up activities, projects, initiatives which work around that. So that's how the story started way back in 2003, and today with a lot of work from the team. It's much more now the team work than my work. We are where we are.
Yes, and I think it's an excellent place to be in. I have visited XRCVC in person. I went there for a workshop in my TY. I'm in my third year, and I really I want to say that that experience for me was so thought provoking. That and after that also in MSc, in my master's first year, we had an online workshop from XRCVC only, but I really wanted to attend that again because I was really wondering how they will manage it online. I mean, as a workshop that is which has a lot of tactile things to work with. So but still it worked so nice. I mean, it was so amazing for me, and I really want to tell everyone to once visit XRCVC and just look at the thinking behind it. That's what I want to say. I'll say, coming back to your life, when we talk about disability or when we talk about anything that people are ignorant of, I want to ask a question that did you face any humiliation because of the challenge you have, or any incident that you remember, or how did you overcome that?
Well, I won't call it humiliation. People are sometimes inadvertently making discouraging or disparaging comments. And today, one learns to understand the context through which these comments are made. I'm not bothered about politically correct or incorrect statements. They don't matter to me. But what matters to us as an organization and what we focus on is dispelling myths about blindness, about disability, because there are a lot of myths do exist. So there are, lots of myths. I'll give a simple example to you. That is to say that if a person with disability does something very basic, even a blind person picks up a glass from the table, drinks water and puts the glass back onto the table, that is the population that has this myth, imagines, oh wow, you have done something remarkable. That's nothing remarkable. So what we need to do is make people realize what people with disabilities can do and cannot do. So as a person with blindness, my physical eyes don't work, but there are multiple ways of working around.
Yes.
Sensory substitution, so I can feel with my fingers, I can listen with my ears, for instance. So let's say if I need to read a book, so I could either read it in braille or I could read it through audio. And both avenues are available to me.
Yes.
So we need to break these myths. Since you asked about how people interact with persons with disabilities, sometimes and this does not happen only with me, but I've talked to so many persons with blindness. Let's say you go to a shop to buy something. I want to buy something. I've spoken to the salesperson about what I want to pick up. And the salesperson may turn to the person with whom I happen to have gone and say, Unko ye pasand aayega, would he like this?
Yeah.
And I say, and that person tells me, hey, you ask him, na? Why should you ask me? So, this form of mental block which exists needs to be dispelled as well.
Definitely, yes.
One has to accept that everybody is temporarily able.
Yes.
With age or with circumstance, a person may get disabled either partly or for a long time. And one has to mentally accept that, okay, these things can happen, but there are workarounds available. And the moment we believe that workarounds can be found, we would be able to win more than 90% of the battle.
And talking about the myths, so what are the reasons for people having this prejudice or this kind of myths for the people with disabilities?
Well, I'm not a historian, but it comes down from history. And in the past, this whole idea was exclusion or the fear psychosis that builds around this. You look at the labels that are used for blindness. They say black.
Yes.
So which itself is a myth, because the low vision people have some level of vision, and
Yes.
the person who's totally blind, maybe who's never seen light, has not seen light, so they won't know what, forget light, they won't know what black either is. So why depict it as black? But that's where the root of the issue lies. And there is also the fear of the unknown.
Yes.
The other whole idea of stigma, that in the Indian culture, this whole idea of karma, that this is to do with some past activity or whatever. So there are multiple factors which contribute in different proportions to this whole mindset.
How can we overcome this prejudice in the society for the people with disabilities?
Well, you're talking as though we can put on an electric switch and things will change. No, they don't. It's a process, and there are multiple ways of working at the process. At one level, it would be great to look at our school curriculum and have content which normalizes disability, and also ensure that schools actively take on students with disability, because I'm sure that my classmates who perhaps grew up with me, we played, we fought, we did everything together, would have a different view of blindness as compared to somebody who's never met a person with blindness.
Yes.
So education is a key element. As an organization, we work trying to segue little by little. So our program Antarchakshu, it's an awareness and sensitization event which you referred to. You mentioned the name, and it's something which is designed through simulation to create this awareness, where we try to break myths and try to create this whole notion that a person with disability is as normal as anybody else. They are human beings first. They could be good or bad. The blindness or disability doesn't make them good or bad. It's their personality that will make them function the way they do. Blindness or other disabilities may contribute to some part, but then there are so many other conditions which contribute to personality formation in any case.
Yes.
So, awareness programs, today media can play a role, but we don't see a lot of disability normalization content within the media.
Right.
You need to normalize disability. That's what is important.
Yes. So there is a need of inclusive education for overcoming this myths about people with disabilities. Yes, definitely. Now talking about, sir, as we talked about the personality, I really want to know as a person who you are. So I want to ask, what inspires you the most, or what makes you feel empowered?
Well, I have the belief that things are doable. Perhaps from my childhood, I've learned that from my parents, that if you want to do a thing, you can. Have faith in yourself. And the approach I have used in my life is, nothing is impossible if you want to set your heart at it. And I do work at certain things I may want to do. Sometimes they seem daunting, like I am not a mountain climber, but I'm giving an example from mountaineering. If you just look at the top of 29,000 plus feet for mount, you need to go step by step, and so you need to plan your work and then work your plan, and that's the philosophy that drives me basically.
Wow. Yeah. I want to ask, what do you think that what are the most beautiful things in the world according to you?
Simplicity.
Okay. And why do you
Don't
say so?
Look at complexity, look at simplicity. Yeah, because life is not meant to be complex. It's meant to be just enjoyed as a simple thing. And you mentioned sense of humor. Yes, a lot of us with disabilities do crack jokes about our own condition. And it's not some form of wicked sense of humor. We have to accept ourselves as we are. And if we accept ourselves as we are on the road to achieving what we want to do. And in terms of achievements that we have had at the center or anything, we've achieved things which people told us would just not be possible. Even if you had asked me individually, do you think it's doable? I would have said, I don't know. But we did achieve it simply because we broke it up into smaller and smaller activities, into the simplest task. You take one step at a time, as I told you earlier also. Do the simple task. Do the next simple task. Do the next simple task. Doesn't mean you only keep doing the peripherals. Look at even the core issues and break it up into simple tasks. And the moment one does that, one is able to actually move the engine forward.
Yes.
No aeroplane takes off and reaches 30,000 altitude. No? It goes through the different, and it goes every inch by inch. And we need to go inch by inch also in terms of breaking things up into its simple components.
Yes. Usually people say
and
that
enjoy your work. Enjoy your work. If you're going to view this as a burden, then you won't. Enjoy your work. Even laugh when you fall.
Right. Actually, usually people say, I really like this thing. I will keep this in my mind, that people usually say that, eat the frog first. Do the hardest thing first. But when you start with the possible things, you get that confidence, and it becomes, enjoyable, because with every action you are gaining that confidence also, and the journey becomes very, fun. So what is the best part about you? What do you like the most about yourself?
Well, that's for others to answer, not me, no? I'm happy to be who I am, that's all. I accept myself as I am, with my strengths, my limitations, whatever they are. And one does work towards strengthening one's strengths and weakening one's weaknesses. And
so what I observed in your all answers was that you talked about simplicity. And I could see the simplicity in all your answers. I actually could see that. And I always ask this question to all my guests. That's the title of this show, that is Bookmarks of Life. So my question is, life is like a book, and if you had to bookmark one thing from your life, what would it be?
Some part of my life?
Yes, part of your life, yes.
Well, every event has taught me things in different ways, so I don't know whether one would want to go into this type of bookmarking process, actually. But there have been so many instances that have taught me, and one of the things that I had to bookmark for my learning is my childhood, where I imbibed from my parents this whole attitude of being sincere, honest, and focusing on what one needs to do in the right manner possible.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, and I really enjoyed talking to you, and yes, sir. So thank you so much.
All the best to you. Thanks for having us over, and all success and good luck to all your viewers.
Thank you so much, sir. And if you like the episode, please like, share, and subscribe. And you can follow Petrichor Development on Instagram as well as on YouTube. And we'll see you in the next episodes. Thank you so much.